Hey chums, and welcome back to the Kenwood Kids Club. Now, I apologise, the lighting's a little bit unusual this week because I'm actually filming this video in the dark. Not in here, obviously, but outside. And that's because I'm about to leave to go to Ireland, which is a whole other country, and it's all very exciting. But before I go, I wanted to show you another really delicious recipe that you can bake along with. So, if you'd like to have a go at my triple chocolate cookies, yes, triple chocolate, then head down to the video description where you'll find the full list of ingredients that you will need to join in with me today. You'll also find a link to the Kenwood Kids Club website, and over there you'll find the list of ingredients again, you'll find the full written out method for this recipe, and you'll also be able to sign up to become a member of the Kenwood Kids Club. If you do that, you'll get your own membership card and you'll be eligible to enter our Star Baker of the Month competition. Every single month we choose one of our bakers who's baked along with one of our videos to be our Star Baker, and they win themselves their very own Kenwood Kids Club goodie bag and a Kenwood hand mixer as well. So it's an amazing prize, and all you need to do to win it is to make some cookies. I think that sounds like a really good deal, don't you? If you are baking along with me today, you might want to pause the video here so you can get everything ready, but when you have got everything, then we can get cracking. Now, like most of our cookie recipes, this one is super simple and you can do all of the work in your stand mixer. So I'm using my blue K-Mix today, and in here I'm going to start by creaming together my butter and my sugar. Now I've got regular salted butter here, and I've chopped that up into small pieces. And then I've got two different types of sugar. We've got some golden caster sugar and we've got some dark soft brown sugar as well. Now the golden caster sugar is going to help make our biscuits nice and crunchy, whereas the soft dark brown sugar is going to make the middles nice and chewy. So using both of them together gives us the perfect combination of crispy outsides and gooey insides. So they're both going to go in here. And then I'm going to grab my K-beater attachment, pop it onto the mixer, and then we're just going to mix this together until it's really smooth and creamy. You should notice that the colour gets quite pale as well the longer you mix. So I'm going to pop mine on, but rather than make you wait and watch this for ages, we'll jump ahead until this is done and I'll show you what to do next. Now while my mixer is still running, I'm going to get my next ingredient ready, which is one large egg, and I'm going to crack that into a bowl. Give it a little mix with a fork. And then very slowly, I'm just going to pour that in with that butter and sugar mixture. And we're going to wait for those to come together. Again, it doesn't take very long at all. Now, if it starts to look like your mixture might be separating and it starts to look a bit clumpy, don't worry at all, that's absolutely fine. But what you do need to do is make sure that you scrape down the edge of the bowl so that we make sure all of our ingredients are mixing together before we go in with the last ones, which are some plain flour, some cocoa powder, and some bicarbonate of soda. Now to add those in, I'm going to turn the speed right down because I don't want to send those ingredients flying everywhere. And then I'm just going to sprinkle those into the bowl. So there's my flour. Here goes the cocoa powder. And that's our first type of chocolate. Just remember, these are triple chocolate cookies. So type 1 is our cocoa powder. There's my bicarbonate of soda. And then again, we're just going to let all of these ingredients mix together until they're nice and smooth. And that's looking pretty good to me. Now the last thing we're going to add is more chocolate. And of course we need two more types for our triple chocolate cookies. So here I've got some white chocolate and I've got some milk chocolate. You'll notice that I'm just using bars of chocolate, though you can use little pellets or chocolate chips or anything like that, but I really like using chocolate bars because it means that all the bits of chocolate are different sizes. So sometimes you might get a really chunky bit, sometimes you might get a little bit. Now I'm using a sharp knife to cut my chocolate, but this can be quite tricky. So if you need to get an adult to help you with this bit, that's absolutely fine. You need to make sure that you're being very safe when you're chopping. Now I like to cut my chocolate in one direction, and then I chop it again in the opposite direction, and that helps me get nice small pieces. Now once you've finished chopping up your chocolate, again it just needs to go into the bowl of your stand mixer so that we can mix it in with this lovely chocolatey cookie mixture. And then we're going to give it one final mix just to get those nicely incorporated. And there we go, that is our cookie dough made. Now it can always be really tempting to want to eat your cookie dough raw because, let's be honest, we all know how delicious raw cookie dough is. But don't forget, as we've talked about in previous videos, cookie dough contains raw flour and raw eggs, both of which aren't very good for our tummies. But if you really do like raw cookie dough, we do have a recipe for our cookie dough that is safe to eat raw right here on the channel. So just head up to the search bar and pop in Kenwood Kids Club edible cookie dough and that video will come up. Now I'm just going to give this one final quick mix with my spatula just to check that everything is fully combined, but I have to say it's looking really good. Now it's time for the bit that people either really love or really hate, and that's because it's time for us to get messy. We need to turn this big lump of cookie dough into 12 individual cookies. Now there are a couple of ways you can do this. You can use a large ice cream scoop like you've seen me do here on the channel before. You can use a tablespoon measure and scoop up 3 tablespoons at a time and combine those. Or if you've made cookies lots, you probably know roughly how much you need for each cookie on your own trays, which is what I'm going to do. So I know I need 12 balls roughly the size of a golf ball. And so all I'm going to do is pick up the dough, roughly shape it into a ball, and then pop it onto a baking tray that's been lined with non-stick baking paper. Now don't forget, cookies will spread in the oven, so we want to give them some room to spread out without them all coming together into one giant cookie. Because although one giant cookie sounds really delicious, it makes it quite hard to share them with your friends. So I'm going to put 6 onto one tray and then 6 onto another tray. Do you see what I mean about getting really messy? Now when you finish separating your mixture out into your 12 individual portions, you should have something that looks a little bit like this, although yours might be neater if you've used an ice cream scoop. There's one more step that we need to follow before we can cook these, and that's to give them a quick chill in the fridge. If we put them in the oven like they are now, they'll melt straight away and they'll go really flat, and we'll end up with these really quite unpleasant looking cookies, and we want them to have a little bit of substance to them. So what we're going to do is pop them in the fridge for around about half an hour, which will chill that mixture down nice and cold, and it will help them melt in a more kind of slow way, giving us the perfect cookie. So I'm going to go and pop these in the fridge, we'll jump ahead, and then I'll show you what to do next. So it's been around half an hour and I now have some quite solid lumps of cookie dough here. And what you can actually do at this point, if you'd like, is take them off the tray and pop them in a freezer bag and put them in the freezer. Now, all of my cookie recipes are perfect for freezing in advance so that when you have a bit of a cookie craving, you can just get a couple out and pop them in the oven for a slightly longer bake time. So these ones from the fridge need to go into a preheated oven at 200 degrees, which is 180 degrees fan or gas Mach 6, for around about 12 to 15 minutes. If you want to pop them in the freezer and cook them up later, just increase that 12 to 15 minutes to around about 15 to 18 minutes and you'll still end up with perfect cookies. So again, if you don't fancy making all 12 all in one go, cook some now and cook some later, or just make up your cookie dough in advance, pop it in the freezer, and then you can have fresh cookies whenever people come to visit. I'm going to cook mine now though, so I'm going to pop these into the preheated oven for around about 12 to 15 minutes, and then we'll get them out and see what they look like. See you in a sec. And then, as if by magic, after only around 12 to 15 minutes, depending on your oven, you should end up with something that looks like this. Now you might find when they first come out of the oven, they look quite puffy, but don't panic, they're supposed to. As they start to cool down, they'll flatten off again, and they'll continue cooking on the tray for a little while too. So while they might look and feel really, really soft to the touch when you first take them out, trust the process, leave them on the tray for a good 10 or so minutes when you first take them out, and then they will crisp up and they will give you the perfect, chewy, chocolatey, tasty, delicious, amazing cookies. I promise you. Now, these have actually been out of the oven for a couple of minutes, but not the full 10 minutes yet, so I'm not going to break into one today. I know often in these videos, we do finish everything off by having a good old taste of what we've made, but I'm actually going to give these ones away, as I sometimes do. So instead, I'd love for you to have a go at this recipe and then get in touch with me over on social media and let me know what you think of my triple chocolate cookies. I think they are absolutely delicious. I hope you will too, and I hope lots of you will have a go at making them at home. Now, I will be back at the same time next week with another delicious bake-along. No clues this week though, so you'll have to wait and see what we're going to be making. But in the meantime, if you'd love to have a go at my triple chocolate cookies, don't forget you'll find the full list of ingredients down in the video description, and you'll find a link there to the Kenwood Kids Club website, where you'll also find the full recipe method as well. While you're over at the Kenwood Kids Club website, don't forget to get all signed up as a member if you're not already, so that we can send you your membership card, and of course that means you'll be able to enter your cookies into our Star Baker of the Month competition. Before you go though, if you haven't already done it, why not give this video a thumbs up, and if you're watching us for the first time, make sure you hit that subscribe button as well. Thank you everybody so much for watching. I do hope you love my cookies, and I will see you at the same time next week. Until then, as always, take care and happy baking.